This lesson combines two sections from our book, sections 3.3 and 3.4. It's on different theorems that revolve around lines and angles. The first thing that we have to do is look at a couple of definitions. Definitions of interior angles. When we look at a polygon, we talk about the interior of the polygon versus the exterior. The interior means they're on the inside. So your interior angles would be these ones that are on the inside of the angle. Exterior angles are ones, obviously, that are on the outside of the polygon. To create an exterior angle, you have to extend a side. So you draw a line that just extends the side of the polygon, and then the exterior angle sits on the outside. You can do that going either way. You could go this way and have the exterior angle be here, or you could have it go this way and have it be here. It doesn't make any difference. Okay, goes both ways. Some theorems that we are going to talk about lines and angles. We will get to the angles in a minute, but to start with the lines. The first theorem says if two coplanar lines are perpendicular. So coplanar means they sit in the same flat surface and are perpendicular. So you know that means they make right angles to the exact same line. So I have two flat lines that are perpendicular to the same line. So they make right angles, both of them. Then it says the two lines have to be parallel to each other. Okay, so we have line A here, line B here, and line C here. So it says if A is perpendicular to C and B is perpendicular to C, then what's the relationship between A and B? A and B have to be parallel. The second one we're going to learn has to do with three parallel lines. It says if two coplanar lines are parallel to the same line. Okay, so now we've got AB and EF are both parallel to CD. Notice the arrows tell us that they're parallel. Then the two lines have to be parallel to each other. So if you have AB, doesn't want to write. If AB is parallel to CD and EF is parallel to CD, then AB has to be parallel to EF. That would be your conclusion based on this theorem. Okay. Before we go on to the relationships about angles, a couple quick review things. We have equiangular, which means that all sides of your angle are congruent. Acute, which means that all angles are less than 90. Right, which means 1 is equal to 90. And obtuse, which means 1 is greater than 90. Equilateral, all sides are congruent. Isosceles, 2 of the 3 sides have to be congruent. And scalene, none of the sides have to be congruent. So that's a review. Hopefully you remember those from your previous math classes. Okay, theorems about triangles. So these are the two theorems about the triangles. The first one is that the sum of the 3 angles have to add up to 180 degrees. A triangle, the interior angles of a triangle have to add up to 180. The 3 of them together. So if you know 2 of them, you will always know the third one by subtracting them from 180. So 80 and 50 is 130, which means that 130 from 180 is 50, which means x has to be 50. Now you should be able to classify this triangle based on its angles. 2 of the angles are the same, which means 2 of the sides are the same. So this is an isosceles triangle. Number 2, the measure of an exterior angle of a triangle is equal to the sum of the 2 remote interior angles. Now that's a mouthful. What it means though is if you look at the exterior angle of a triangle, so the angle on the outside, it's got to be equal to the other 2 that are farther away from it. That's why they say remote. these two put together. So since these two together add up to 100 degrees, this one has to be 100 degrees. The reason that that works is because the exterior and interior angle, notice they form a line. So these two are going to be supplementary. They're going to add up to 180. And we just learned in the last theorem that the three angles inside the triangle have to add up to 180. So if these two add up to 180, and this one plus these two have to add up to 180, this one has to be the same measure as the other two put together. That's how that works. All right, that is the end of this lesson. Your homework is as follows.